people, and welcome back to another Halloween makeup look here on my channel. So in today's video we are going to be creating kind of a gross, messy, bloody, mind blown, if you want to call it, makeup look. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I have no makeup on my face, and then we need to put our hair back. So what I am basically going to do for the sake of this look is I am just brushing my hair through and I am pulling it back into a very low ponytail into the back of my head, and then I am just taking some hair gel of any kind. You can use whatever, you can use Vaseline, hairspray, whatever you want to do, and we're just going to kind of slick our hair back and get ready for the bald cap. Now the bald cap that I'm using is just a little appliance from Spirit Halloween. This isn't anything like super expensive or super professional. And this is also my first time ever trying on and putting on a bald cap. So basically after I have my hair all situated, I just kind of put the bald cap on where I need it. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start cutting it. Make sure you do not start cutting the bald cap until you try it on your head first. Otherwise you might cut too much off and then you won't have a bald cap. So I basically just put it on my head and very carefully with some scissors just made a few little alterations that I feel would fit my face better. Again, this was my first time doing anything like this, so I'm sure there were a lot of things that I did wrong, and I definitely learned a lot if I ever do decide to wear a bald cap for the next time. So just kind of bear with me in this video as I try to figure it out on my own. Definitely cutting out the ears was the hardest part for me, and also I accidentally ripped the bald cap on this side, as you will see here in just a second. And 1, 2, rip. So just a heads up, they do rip very easily, and I accidentally ripped mine. So you have to be very, very, very careful when you're cutting these. If you have someone there with you who can maybe help you do this, I feel like that would help a lot. So for this look, obviously I wanted to have my ears poking out, so I just made sure I cut around my ears and around my forehead and around the neck. And then once you have everything all cut out to where you need it to be, it is time to start securing it to our head. And for that, I am using Prozade for this. So after shaking the bottle up really good, I'm just going in with a Q-tip and kind of putting a decent amount of this underneath the bald cap. That way when we put it down onto our face, it'll stay nice and secure and hopefully hide some of the edges. It doesn't matter if you get a little on the outside because we are going to be putting some there anyway. So I'm just kind of doing this in little tiny sections. I'm not doing it all in one go because you might get some air bubbles that way. So I'm just kind of doing it section by section and flattening it out with my finger to make sure everything is totally flat to our head. And then I'm also doing the same to the sides of the neck. Once you do that, it is time to go over the bald cap a few times with some Prozade. You could also use liquid latex for this. I'm doing a couple layers of Prozade to kind of help hide some of the edges. Again, that is another thing I really struggle with this FX stuff is edges. I think I did okay for my first time, but I definitely think I could have done better. So after doing maybe about 3-ish layers of Prozade, I went in with some liquid latex and did, I think, 2 layers of this. And also make sure that you are letting each layer dry in between, otherwise it's just going to become a big globbery mess and you're not going to achieve anything that way. So do 1 layer, let it fully dry, and then go in with another one. So after this last layer of liquid latex, I made sure it was completely dry, and then I went over the whole area with some translucent powder by Le Beau Cosmetique, and I just went over everything with a powder brush to make sure there was no stickiness left over. And now time for foundation. I am taking a mixture of the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made with a little bit of the Dior Skin Forever foundation. And I'm starting out with the CoverGirl just to give myself a nice starting layer. And I'm also putting this on the bald cap as well because this is also going to hide the color of the bald cap and hide the color of my hair underneath. And then I'm going over it with the Dior Skin Forever foundation because that has a little bit more of like a yellowy tone in it. So I figured that would just kind of help blend everything maybe a little bit better. Again, you can still kind of see the edge pretty bad, but for being my first time doing this whole bald cap thing, I don't think it looks that bad, but you know, it's whatever. I tried, okay? So after I got all of the foundation on, I just went over everything with some powder and then quickly drew on some brows. Again, I didn't make my eyebrows super perfect for this. I just kind of filled them in to give them a little bit of the color back out after applying all of the foundation. After that, I am going to start contouring my face and body a little bit. And for that, I'm using my Dead Gray face powder from Spirit Halloween. And on just a tapered brush, I am going to go in onto my cheeks. I'm going to do my neck, my collarbones, just to give myself a really kind of like sickly, skinny, sunken in kind of look because, you know, I'm sure you wouldn't be looking like a 10 if your brain was popping out of your skull. You know what I'm saying? So I just tried to make myself look as creepy as possible. Moving on to the eyes, I kind of did the same thing. I used the Maybelline The Nudes palette and I used the gray shadows that were in there. And I just kind of sweeped this underneath my eyes and on the top of my eyes. Again, not doing anything beauty guru-esque. I wanted this to be very sloppy and just kind of give my eyes a very sick gray look to them. And then to add a little bit of mascara to my top and bottom lashes, I'm using the CoverGirl Peacock Flare Mascara and just doing a very thin layer of this on the top and bottom just to kind of make my eyes look a little better, but not too much. Like, we're not going to make ourselves look, you know, super hot, just a little hot. Now it is time to go in and start making this brain look more real. So I'm going in with this little injury stack right here, and I am taking the lightest red in it, and I am taking this on an eyeshadow brush. Again, not one that I care too much about because this does stain your brushes, and I am going into the deepest parts or the darkest parts of the appliance and just kind of outlining them a little bit with the dark red, just to kind of start creating a little bit of depth, kind of starting to make it look a little bit more bloody. And I'm doing this in all of the little crevices, I don't know what they're called, but all the little crevices in the brain as well. And now to give the brain a little bit more of a juicy appearance, I'm going in with some red blood gel on a makeup cosmetic sponge thing. And I am literally putting this all over the brain because this is going to make it look super realistic, because if you were to cut open your skull right now, your brain would definitely have a bloody, glossy look to it. And this is like what really made this whole appliance come to life, is just making it look nice and juicy and gross and lifelike. You know, all that jazz. Also, if you have someone who can help you do the back of the brain, that would be great, because it was super hard to try to do that because I can only see so far back. So if you have someone to help, you know, have them do that. And then after the red blood gel, I'm going in with some bloody scab, and I'm just putting this in a few of the crevices on the brain just to add a little bit more of dimension to the blood and make it darker and more, you know, yucky looking in some spots. I thought that made it look really cool. Then again, bloody scab makes everything look cool. So, you know, put it wherever. And then I thought this look was a little bit boring, so I went in with the bottle of blood and I actually poured this into my hand because I wanted to add some bloody handprints on my face. So I added one on the front of my face. Make sure you are very, very careful when you do this because you do not want to get this stuff in your eyes. So I was just very cautious about where I was putting my fingers and my hands and all that good stuff. But I don't know, I just thought it kind of looked cool, made it look like I had some, like, you know, doctors working on my brain and they left their handprints all over me. Like, I don't know, use your imagination. I just thought it looked cool. A little bit of a heads up though, this blood stains really bad, so you know, keep that in mind. I also went back in with the bottle of blood and I used some Q-tips and I started having blood drip from the brain. Basically, I just take a huge chunk of it, kind of put it on the top, and then let gravity do its thing and kind of pull the blood down wherever. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on it when you're doing this because, again, like I said, you don't want to get this in your eye because that could probably cause a lot of irritation and you don't want that. I also added a little bit coming out of my nose and, you know, I kind of just added blood wherever because I thought it would just be boring if I just had the brain, so I went a little blood crazy. And then one of the last things I did is I went in with some zombie blood spray and sprayed that on my neck and just kind of spread it in with my hands. And after everything is done, you have the completed, mind-blown, creepy, bloody, messy brain look. This look did defeat me a few times, but regardless, I think it turned out pretty okay. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give me a huge thumbs up. Make sure you go down and subscribe to my YouTube channel. But until then, I will see you very soon in my next video. I love you guys. Bye!